Y'all, you cannot make this up. CNN is actively sounding the alarm. We're talking DEFCON 1, we're talking about alarms, we're talking about flashing lights. We've got two different segments in the last 12 hours all around the fact that the Democrats are doing so poorly with the population before all the things that are happening like redistricting and the Supreme Court pretty much nuking them from on high. Guys, this is an important one because while we focus on saving the country and pushing it better to the next generation than we found it for ourselves, this is such a key point. Imagine 26 House seats shifting in the other direction. They've been arguing about 2 and 3. This one is going to be seismic. Everything will be linked in the description box below. Of course, I always bring the receipts. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on if you want to save this country, because that is exactly what we aim to do on the daily. All right, you can follow me on X at Braden LOA. But let's dive right into this because I want to show you two clips from CNN. And when I tell you they are sounding alarms, I've got these clips. It's impossible for you to over-embellish this. All right. Let's get into this. CNN, first we're going to hear from Harry Eaton about how the Democrats, no one likes them and they're falling behind the previous pace of when they got Donald Trump in the first time. Watch, don't believe me, listen to this. I'm telling you, we've been over the target for a while. This is big.
2018, right? Because that's sort of the baseline. That was, of course, the first Trump term. That was where Democrats were sort of keeping pace. You go back to April, look at the generic congressional ballot. What'd you see? You see +3 Democrats in 2025 in April. You see +3 Democrats back in April of 2017. Now jump over to this side of the screen. What happens? Well, the Democrats are no longer keeping pace with the pace that they were setting back in 2017, 2018. You look back in 2017, you saw that the Democrats had leaped up to an 8-point advantage. I remember covering this. I remember a lot of folks, including myself, saying, you know what, Republicans look pretty decent right now in terms of the fact that they had the House, they had the Senate, they had the presidency, but things were likely going to flip. And I was looking for the same signs this year. The bottom line is it hasn't happened, Kate Baldwin. It hasn't happened. Democrats have stayed basically steady. They have fallen off the pace. Democrats were way out ahead back in 2017 on the generic congressional ballot. And now we're basically looking at Democrats ahead. But again, they are so far in back of the pace that they set back there. And so I think what a lot of folks are seeing, folks like myself, are saying, wait a minute, given what we might be seeing in redistricting, is this +3 going to be enough, Kate Baldwin?
Well, that's what I was.
All right. You have to understand. Come here. We got to talk about something. You have to understand a few things that he did not say there as we go through this. That +3 advantage that they're referencing, that's a built-in Democratic bias. They always have to have +4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to actually take houses and make impacts. Okay? You have to understand that's because the general population versus the different states and the House seats and all that. The reason why this was so impactful is because in the presidential election for Donald Trump, the one that we just had, part 2, that one was like +2 Republican, which really equated out to be like 5 or 6 in the positive for Republican versus Democrat because of that bias distribution. What he's saying right here is the big magical hope and dream that the Democrats are putting their hats on and they're hanging their hopes on is the midterms coming up in just over a year. So you're looking at a +3 advantage, and then all of a sudden the pace stopped. You have to understand that it stopped at dead neutral before redistricting and before the Supreme Court. Again, I'm going to get into all of this. The alarm bells are going off, and I'm freaking here for it because this right here only buttresses the point that they're losing culturally. They cannot maintain the average advantage that they had prior on that pace because no one likes them. All right, let's keep on going. I got more for you.
I was going to ask, one change from that cycle is also this mid-decade redistricting effort that we've been covering so much. You add that in, and what do you get?
Okay, so we add that, and we take a look at the national picture, but then we, of course, taking a look at the state legislators, right? They are potentially changing things, and there are two things that are going on here. First off, net mid-decade redistricting gains. If both sides max out at this point, there are more Republican gains possible than Democratic gains. Yes, the Democrats might try to counter a Texas and a California, but you go along in the different states, and basically Democrats run out of room where Republicans are able to gain and gain and gain. If both sides max out, we're probably looking at a GOP gain of +7 House seats. That doesn't even take into account the potential gutting of the VRA that is right now going to be in front of the Supreme Court. If you add that in, you could be looking.
Voting Rights Act.
What? Yes, exactly right. the Voting Rights Act. If you add that in, then you could be looking about adding 10, 12, 15, 17 on top of this 7 seats. So I think a lot of folks like myself are looking at this. We're seeing, hey, wait a minute. Those national polls are, Democrats are not gaining the way that we expected.
That's the entire point. The polling is not showing up like they expected because they're not keeping pace with what they did in the prior Trump presidency. Guys, you're talking about a +7. Look, it's still on the screen. A +7 just from the redistricting. You know all that posturing and chest banging from Gavin Newsom where he does this whole number while he's talking? Yeah, it's going to be completely neutralized. I'm about to show you another video where they're screaming about that too. The Supreme Court today was hearing about the Civil Rights Act in Section 2, which creates special districts for minorities because it was abused by the Democrats. If SCOTUS knocks that out, you're talking about potentially +20 seats in a resetting of the entire system. The Democrats are now not only flat, they're under by 7 points, even with the countering, and the SCOTUS is acting. Guys, I'm telling you, we are winning and it's about to get biblical. All right, let's keep on going. Maybe I haven't landed the point enough. Maybe you need more evidence to say, Braden, you're so positive and you have such hope for the country. How can I believe you? Well, here's some more CNN right here. Again, here's a breakdown of the states that we're referencing. This is big stuff, guys, because it goes to every single issue you care about. Let's go.
Actually represents pretty accurately, mathematically, how the country is divided over the question of the presidency. But if you look at this is what the party pickups would be for congressional districts. Republicans, 5. Missouri, 1. North Carolina, 1. Ohio, 2 or 3. Indiana, 1 or 2. Florida, still discussion down there, but that could be another gold mine for them if they tipped it even further their way. Kansas 1, New Hampshire 1, and Nebraska. Democrats, Utah, California, Maryland. Look at this. If you offset California and Texas, Missouri and Utah, North Carolina and Maryland, everything left over is an advantage to the Republicans. And don't forget, the Supreme Court is considering what could really be the end of the Voting Rights Act, which would protect minority groups. So you don't have a state that's half black, for example, that elects only 1 congressional member and everybody else goes to the Republicans that would represent that population in some ways. So if that is gutted, Democrats could lose 19 seats. This would be a huge amount. But this is also a measure of how much the White House is concerned about this, because Donald Trump knows if the Democrats get the House again, there could be new investigations just like last time. There could be a new impeachment. There could be a lot of impediment.
Oh, there'll be a lot of impediment and a lot of impeachment. That's kind of a known. That's not like a mystery, right? So here's where this boils down. It's 26 seats. Before the SCOTUS even acts, you're talking about +7. +7 on a Republican advantage that already exists. If you add in a SCOTUS decision that could happen favorably, I can't tell you one way or what they're going to do, you're talking about over 10% shift towards the Republicans. That puts them at no longer around 220, 217. That puts them at right around 240. Guys, that means Trump has +26 seats to mess around with and lose some votes, so no rhino Republicans can do that whole there's 2 of us and you can't do what you want. You have to understand, the only reason they do these videos and these segments is because they're screaming the alert and the alarm. They are in very serious, dire straits, and they know it. But that's what I've got for you guys. If you're down for this country to be saved, this is the place to be. And that's what I've got. I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. Later.